Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. That certificate's not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tambella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. Today's trivia theme is, where did the pros go? So we're going to ask, it's actually pro football, and we're going to find out where the where the pro athletes played college. All right. Today we have a Today we have a special guest, CJ Calio of WNN Properties LLC. He's the co-founder of WNN Properties LLC, full-time investor in residential and commercial real estate. After raising millions of dollars since 2015, building his own residential and commercial portfolio, he now aims to help others become financially free to do the same. In less than 5 years, CJ and his wife were able to live their dream of being full-time investors. Together, they work to help people increase their cash flow and build stronger investing portfolios so they can enjoy fulfilling lives of health, happiness, and prosperity. Yes, that is something we all want to do. CJ, welcome to The Best of Investing.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Edward.
Sure thing. Okay, so first of all, I want to get a little background on you because it says here starting in 2015. What was your profession before?
Yeah, I was a UPS driver in Hawaii. Like we were talking prior to the show starting, that's
Yeah,
where I was originally from.
and 2015. Okay, so we had the Great Recession, 2008. That went through 2012 or so. So 2015, things were already starting to kind of go back up. And did you do this in Hawaii?
I did it out of state from Hawaii.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because Hawaii, I mean, the prices didn't really alter that much, did they? As much as the
They
rest
in certain parts they
of the park.
tanked pretty heavily. Hawaii's similar type of market like California, where you
Okay.
see a high appreciation, and when things hit, it drops significantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess Waianae is kind of one of those places that are, potentially a little bit.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about Hawaii. Okay. So then, what states were you starting to invest in?
Yeah, originally when we started, we were looking into the Midwest area and the East
Yeah.
Coast. So we identified Indianapolis, Kansas City, and Florida as 3 potential markets that we'd want to start investing in.
That was a good. I think that was a probably pretty good choice. 2020 hindsight, you did pretty well. Okay, and I'm kind of curious. It said because from what I read here, it says after living after doing this for a number of years, you want to help others. Why do you want to help others? Why would you want to do that?
It, wasn't originally part of my vision or plan when we first started in this real estate investing journey. It was more self-driven, right? I want to get out of my job. I wasn't happy
Sure.
there. My wife wasn't happy. I was in my job. So let's just create this portfolio where I can replace my income through rental income. And the thing about doing the same thing over and over again, you tend to get more experience and get better at what you're doing. And in the beginning, people didn't care, didn't notice, didn't give me credit or didn't give us credit. And as we started to grow our portfolio and see a consistency of our success, others started to ask, can you teach? And it never really dawned on me that that would be an opportunity. And you know, stepping into that business was a complete different business than owning and rental portfolio of
Sure.
properties, right?
Well,
You're
the
dealing
thing
with
is, okay,
people.
how did you get to, okay, your background, you were a UPS driver. Did you have someone mentor you, or did you just say, hey, I think this is just something I want to do? Or
No, it
did
was
you,
actually my wife's idea. I
okay,
was very resistant to real estate because I knew nothing about real estate. I'm not
okay,
handy by any means. I'm not the
okay,
smartest guy in the room. I'm very good laborer. That's why I was a
okay,
UPS driver.
yeah,
And it was through the networking process when I finally came on board that the people we were hanging out with started to share with us different opportunities to invest in real estate,
yeah,
wholesale, flipping, and buy and hold. And buy and hold really stuck because of the results you can create is that stream of income.
the income,
And
yeah,
that's where my
yeah.
wife, she really grabbed a hold of that idea and drove it home, saying that this is our solution to your problem of wanting to leave UPS. And
Okay.
we stuck with it.
All right. And when we come back, I want to ask you things like, and try to remember this, you know, how did you get started? How much money did you start with? What kind of ideas? Because, going out in the Midwest, you're not going to fly out there to fix a toilet. So there's a whole bunch of different management issues going on with that. All right, so here's our first trivia question. Again, the theme is, where did the pros go? All right, first trivia question is, John Elway retired in 1998 from the quarterback duties of the Denver Broncos. Question is, what university did he attend? Call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer wins that tanning certificate, which is worth over $100. I want to make a mention here also for the Mount View Hotel and Spa, giving 15% off this summer, $395 a night for weekends, $295 a night for weekdays. Check them out at Mount View Hotel and Spa. They have one of the nicest pools around. All right, stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, CJ Calio. By the way, what does CJ stand for?
Calvin Jr.
Calvin Jr. That makes sense. Okay. First trivia question. We'll see if Calvin knows it, or CJ, as you like to be called. All right. John Elway retired in 1998 from the quarterback duties of the Denver Broncos. What university did he attend? Do you know the answer?
No clue.
Stanford. Went to Stanford. He was actually drafted by the Colts. I think they had just become the Indianapolis Colts at that point, from Baltimore. And he said, I am not playing for the Colts. If you draft me, I'll just go play baseball for the Yankees. So they traded his contract to the Denver Broncos, and it was worked out for them. All right. So CJ, you were brand new in real estate in 2015. How much money did you start with?
We didn't start with much. We actually tapped into our equity in our personal private residence, right?
Wow.
We got a second position line of credit, and it was about $100,000. Then we used that to start playing in the real estate game in our markets.
And when you started expanding out there, did you buy your first property all cash, or did you borrow from a bank, some money down? Go ahead.
We used the line. We used the line as a contributor to our down payment, and went with a traditional investor mortgage. We got a 75% LTV, loan to value of the property.
Gotcha. Okay, so you guys, especially for your wife, usually the wives are the more conservative ones, and what are you doing? You're borrowing on the house to go invest in real estate. But she was on board, and apparently you guys made some good decisions. How did you find your first piece of real estate?
So like I was saying in the previous segment, we were networking a lot, and we started finding groups of people who did what we were looking to do and buy out of state. And they recommended different markets and different people to reach out to. And being novice and not having any form of connections in the markets, we decided to purchase through a turnkey company, figuring that it would be an easy way to get into the game. Okay,
fair enough. Obviously, you hit the market fairly well because it's gone up since then. So you started with a $100,000 equity line, basically, no money out of your pocket, but you were, borrowing $100,000. What do you think? How much has your net worth increased since 2015 because of your first move?
We were just doing an assessment for a qualification for a commercial property, and my wife mentioned that we're somewhere around 15 mil right now. 15
million. Wow. In 8 years. That's phenomenal. Congratulations. And is it a mixture of residential and commercial?
Yes, sir.
How many properties do you own now?
We started with residential, and we scaled up to around 90 doors, and then we started shifting into larger deals because we're getting exhausted, right? 90 properties, 90 doors. That's a lot of tenants, termites, and toilets to oversee. So my wife wanted to scale up, and we decided to jump into commercial. So now our residential portfolio is slowly dwindling down because we're 1031ing into larger deals, and we parted way with about 50% of our portfolio, and we've acquired about 12 commercial properties in the last 4 years.
What kind of commercial properties?
Retail, government, mixed use, strip malls. We got medical office and a bank. A bunch of them.
Okay. With this, recessionary, working from home, et cetera, how are things been the last year and a half?
Yeah, I mean, monitoring it and not knowing what COVID was going to do and all these good
Yeah.
stuff, being on the smaller scale side where we're limited on our buying power purely based off of capital,
Yeah.
selling off single family homes is great, and it's still not much to get you to the Grand Cordon level, right?
Yeah.
So we were beneficial enough to start in small retail and strip mall where a lot of the larger companies downsized into our spaces. So we found
Gotcha.
a sweet spot inadvertently by just simply the right timing.
How many states are you in?
We're primarily in Florida and Kansas City. Kansas City is our active building state.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, Florida's been growing quite a bit, especially since people moving out of California and going over there. Uh,
Yeah.
what advice we have here? Another quick minute before we have to cut to another break. What advice would you give someone who should they follow the exact same path that you did?
It all depends on your strategy and what you're looking to achieve. So for me, I wanted to replace my income, which buy and hold made sense. Could I do it through other methods? Yes. So really figuring out that why, and then the strategy will form itself for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here. And now, when you teach people, do you charge for that, or is it just sort of a okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A
What do you
mentorship
charge people?
program that people can buy into.
Okay. How would you charge for that?
So it's a $5,000 fee to join in for a year, and it's
Okay.
group style mentorship. And then we also have the ability to work one on one with an advisor
Okay.
who's already gone through everything and has a track record proven that is capable of leading and guiding, more like a personal trainer if you were to relate it to
Yeah.
working out. You got the
Sure.
group setting where you're more accountable to yourself, and then you got the one on one, which you are directly accountable to somebody who's achieved the status you're looking to achieve.
How many people have signed up for your um, program so far?
Yeah, we've got over 100 graduates, and right now we have 80 active in our community.
Wow. When did you start that?
2017, 18.
Wow, good for you. Boy, you guys are real go-getters, I gotta say. That's very impressive. Okay, tell you what, we're gonna go to our second commercial break here. We're asking where did the pros go? Retired quarterback Joe Montana played for what university before being drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 1979? Call 888-912-11. You know this one, right? Okay, call 800. You were shaking your head yes, now you're shaking your head no. That's okay. Want to make a quick mention here for the Transcendence Theater. You got to check them out. They are like, it's like watching Broadway, but it's a lot more local. You don't have to fly all the way to New York.
Nice.
Transcendence Theater, they do a phenomenal job. All right, stay with us. You're listening to The Best of Investing. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to The Best of Investing one more time. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with CJ Calio, my special guest, who is educating us quite a bit here. I like this. Okay, our second trivia question. Joe Montana played for what university before being drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 1979? And again, you got to be a football fan to know this stuff. Notre Dame. Okay. And he was
I
not
was
the
thinking
hunchback.
of Notre Dame,
You
wasn't
were
quite
thinking Notre
sure.
Dame? Could have gotten that one. Okay. So CJ, you how did you get these people to start signing up for your program? You go to a networking group and they see how successful you are. I mean, that's pretty cool.
So initially, it was we were in the market to network with others, right? And we
Yeah.
found that it was very challenging to network in Hawaii because there's a lot of networking events on the opposite side of the island, and we didn't want to travel in traffic, and Hawaii's traffic's not the
Yeah.
greatest, and
Yeah.
to go to and from, and we had young kids, so we decided to create our own networking event, and our networking event grew from 3 people to 75 at the peak before COVID shut us down. And the cool thing about creating your event, you can run it the way you want. And most
Yeah.
often, people were curious to hear what we were doing because we were doing something different. Not a lot of people were doing out of state investing from Hawaii at the time. Most were focusing on flipping. So
Yeah.
as people would come and hear our stories and our successes and our failures and the lessons learned, it was a very free, open network. We were honest and shared a lot about our journey. People got so confident and comfortable and trustworthy with us that they started to approach us to say, hey, I'd be willing to be guided by you. What is your fee? And I didn't
Yeah.
know what to charge at
Sure.
the time, and it was just enough people asking, and it was interesting and it was fun.
You know,
It started off as a hobby.
I gotta think that you'll probably sometimes get some deals too from people. They say, I found
Yeah.
this great deal in Kansas City or wherever that you may not have known of. And then maybe you can partner with them or that sort of thing. Does that happen?
It has happened in a sense where we help people find their deals. I personally don't. I like to keep it clean, right? If I'm mentoring, I want to keep it clean where I'm not
Good for you.
vested in any of your deals, and we have a smooth, mutual respected relationship focused in on the same goal, getting them successful.
Very good. So now you live in Reno. What made
Yes.
you move to beautiful Hawaii to Reno? No, I'm just kidding. Reno's okay.
Yeah, it's a valid question. I get asked often, and one of the main reasons is cost of living and opportunity for us to
Yeah.
travel from Hawaii to any of the networking events at a higher scale, a higher caliber, required us to fly 6 hours to the West Coast. That's a pretty
Yeah.
decent penny for a round trip just there, and then you got to connect, and now you're spending a whole day traveling to get to an event for 2 days, and then you do the same thing going back. And
Yeah, that's true.
time is valuable. Time's our most valuable asset. And we felt that being in the States allowed us the freedom to do so much more of the larger networking events that we wanted to.
The mainland.
Yeah.
I
There you go.
I know. Yeah, I know. So when people say they go, wait, that's right. We're part of the United States, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I would think that networking groups in Hawaii would be a little bit more, I would think would be a little bit more challenging because, you know, people are just kind of settled there. And I was just wondering if you had like island fever or whatever. Did you grow up in Hawaii?
Yep. Born and raised, was there for 37 years, 38 years. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I love we love Hawaii, and again, as I mentioned to you, even though like everyone, you know, Kauai's great, Maui's great, and all that, we like Oahu because, you know, especially we go to the west side where it's nice and quiet, and then if we want the hullabaloo, we go back down to Waikiki and the marketplace and all that, and it's changed quite a bit in 30 years, or actually, you know, see, for me, it's been 35 years. Yeah. So lots changed in there. And before we get to a break, we got a couple of minutes. I do want to give out your information or have you give out your information in case people wanted to check you out and see if they want to hire you. Go ahead. How do you get a hold of you?
You can go to our social media page on Instagram. It's at WNN Properties, or you can go to our website where we'd love to give away a free gift for people that are just interested in learning more about what we do. It's whynotnowinrealestate.com.
And that's the WNN. Why not now? Very good. Tell you what, why don't you give us a success story and a horror story?
Success story was getting to a point where I was not mortgageable, even with my good paying profession and my wife's good paying profession. We were able to shift our thinking and mindset around how to create and fund deals, where we raised $500,000 to buy a 20-door portfolio in 27 days. That's one of our big success stories.
From when you raise money from the bank or from other investors?
Other investors, private money.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, by 2017, you'd already had a little bit under your belt. So, was it family and friends, or just these networking groups, or
combination of anybody? I talked to 77 people to create the opportunity of $500,000 at that time, and I got to close in 30 days, and I raised it in 27.
Good for you. I mean, that's a nice little pretty penny, $500,000. You know, how many people did that comprise? Four people. Okay, so 125 a piece roughly. Did you put together like a little LLC or?
We leaned them to the properties. So everybody who gave a piece were leaned to certain properties that were equivalent to their value as insurance. And we had 4 separate LLCs as part of the package purchase.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And the properties turned out okay?
Wonderful.
Yeah, but everybody's happy. That's the thing is, you know, start having success like that, and then those people not only want to go back into it, it's, you know, if you've sold it or just getting good cash flow, but they want to tell their family and friends. So that's always a good thing. All right, tell you what, we're going to make another commercial break trivia question here. Pro Football Hall of Fame running back O.J. Simpson attended which university for only 2 years before being drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 1969? Call 888-912-1190. First caller with correct answer wins that tanning certificate. Also, want to make a mention here for Gym Guys, and that's G-U-Y-Z, Gym Guys, guys with the Z. Call 855-GYM-GUYS, and again, guys with the Z. That's where the gym comes to you rather than you flying out to the gym. All right, Stay with us. You're listening to the best of investing. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to the best of investing. I'm Edward Brown, along with CJ Calio, my special guest. Last trivia question was O.J. Simpson. What college did he go to before being drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 1969? Do you know that one?
Got to call my dad on that one.
Okay, USC. He went to USC. All right. Okay, so CJ, we asked you about some successes. All right, now failures. Give us a sad story or a not so good story.
Yeah, failure was before we started buying real estate. We were nervous, so we wanted to lend out money as a soft way to get in to the business. And you don't know what you don't know, and we weren't tied to anything, and it was just simply a promissory note. And
you didn't secure it with a deed of trust.
We didn't know what that was. We were still super green and new. And it was a good chunk of money, 6 figures, that we did not recover from. And it taught us a lot. It was a heavy tuition that we paid.
What if you don't mind asking the story, what happened? Just a bad deal, or did the person abscond with it, or?
It was a bad deal. Real estate it turned out to be a scam, right? And we didn't know what we didn't know. And it was a defining moment for us to start taking ownership over our journey and our decision to move forward. And set us back financially, and yet we were able to overcome it. So
good
for guests out there that may have experienced something, you can still get over it and leverage that as an opportunity to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, well, that's a really good attitude, because that kind of stuff sometimes can just kind of linger and make sour you on something. And it's good that you actually overcame it, to actually say, you know what, we're going to be better for this. We learned something, and you don't, in this case, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater of, hey, never get invested in real estate, which technically you weren't really invested in real estate. You're invested in unsecured promissory note. Yeah, because my main business is the lending side of things, but I do get a secured deed of trust is my plan. In fact, it's funny because people talk about unsecured notes and stuff like that, and I always say I wouldn't give Jeff Bezos an unsecured note.
Right.
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen. I want real estate.
Right. Tied to something tangible.
That's it, exactly. And then give some advice about surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, so like I was sharing with you in the beginning, my story, I was resistant to it. I didn't know anything. And just by surrounding myself with investors who were doing what I wanted to do and had what I wanted to have, I started to pick up on intellectual information that started to stick. It's funny, we speak English, but when you're in a real estate group and you don't know anything about real estate, it sounds Chinese. It's just like a different language. LTV, ARV, comps, all these, acronyms and stuff. I'm just going over my head.
Yeah.
So being around that type of group started to rub off on me, where I was picking up on things, and I felt more informed, and I could understand the conversations better. And it built my confidence up from somebody who knew nothing to a position where I can now comfortably support and help others through teaching. And it all started with networking.
Yeah, and the whole thing about the acronyms, once someone tells you what the acronym is, it's not that you're stupid. It's just you don't know what the specific one. It's like I remember talking to someone. We were talking about discounted real estate notes, and then he used the word NPL. I said, I don't know what that means. And he said non-performing loan. So okay, now that I know what it is, I'll know what it is forever. Same sort of thing. LTV. Unless you're in it, you don't know. That's why I gotta say this is funny. I do not like Apple computers, Apple phones, any of that stuff. Okay, I'm more of a PC and Android, right? And these people who own Apple computers, but it's so intuitive. I said, really? I said, how do you get on the internet? They said, you go to Safari. How would you know that? Why isn't it called the internet? Why is it called Safari? I mean, it's like, oh, can you see that that's not a natural progression?
Right.
You know what? We have a few more minutes here. Go back to real estate for a minute. So what's the difference in your mind between appreciation and cash flow investing real estate strategies?
Yeah, appreciation is more active and more volatile in my opinion, versus cash flow can be more stable and consistent. However, both are require activity, right? It's not,
Yeah.
I feel I speak to a lot of new people who think buy and hold is just set it and forget it. That's not the case. I would not
No.
recommend that by any means. It's
Yeah.
just less activity versus a flipper who is doing it in a short span. So
Yeah.
appreciation can make you a lot of money quick. Cash flow can make you a lot of money over time, and it's spread out.
I totally like that. As Kevin O'Leary says in Shark Tank, cash flow. I like cash
Yeah,
flow.
yeah,
Yeah. It's really hard to do in any kind of strategy a uh, buy and hold and forget. You can buy and
yeah.
hold, but you still have to kind of adjust things. And a lot of people don't know that when the Dow Jones Industrial 30, I mean, it's been around for a long time, but in the beginning, when they actually had to put it together. Uh, a company that made buggy whips was in the Dow Industrial 30 because nobody had cars back then, and then they were all buggies and stuff. I don't think they're doing much business nowadays, So that's the kind of stock that you couldn't just buy and hold and just say, it's in the Dow Jones Industrial 30, you know.
Right.
I mean, and I'm sure it took a long time for companies like Apple and Microsoft to kind of make it, up the ladder.
Exactly.
What do you think it takes to become a successful real estate investor?
Persistence and resolve. The mindset around I cannot fail. I can only learn and grow. And like I shared, my failure, it could have easily derailed me from my path.
Yeah.
Being that I was new and never even do my first deal yet, and had that experience.
Yeah.
However, the why was so strong. My family, the time freedom that I get from doing what I do today was so valuable to me that, you know what, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to persist until I succeed.
So you had that first failure before you borrowed on the house to do yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've always kind of looked at the thing I like about real estate, again, it's a tangible asset. And the reason I like to more, I mean, I own my house, but my business is lending because although I can't control the borrower, if anything goes wrong, I'm into the property for, 60%. So I'll be able to get the property at a lot less than the average bear, But, with stocks, I mean, you can't control what a company does, and even though I can't control what the borrower does, unless they're going to destroy the property, for the most part, it'll turn out okay if something happens with that borrower. All right,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You know what? We're going to cut to our last break. We don't have a trivia question, thank goodness, right? No more football questions. No. But when we come back, we are going to have some closing comments. So don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, CJ Calio. No trivia question, but I do want to ask you a question. If for the audience who's listening in, who says, how do I get started with little to no money in real estate? How do they get
There's
started?
always a way in. There's always a way in.
Okay.
So it's really figuring out first your strategy, because your strategy is going to dictate how you do the next steps. And with no money, like I mentioned, we ran out of mortgages. So essentially, I ran out of qualifying for money to be borrowed, where I got to pivot towards finding new opportunity, which
Yeah.
at that time was raising private money from other investors or people who had capital that wasn't deployed, wasn't used at the time.
Okay.
So that's a good example of how to invest with little to no money. Is you start building relationships and create opportunities to tap into other people's capital and partner with them on a deal.
Well, the first one's got to be the hardest because they're going to say, what experience have you had? I go, well, this is my first one. Let's do it together.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like something like what we do or other programs out there that offer mentorship and guidance, having a seasoned investor overseeing it and you under their wing gives others confidence, because you're being guided by an expert
Yeah.
versus doing it all on your own.
Well, that brings me to this question: how do you build a team? Because you've got
Ooh,
to have contractors and subcontractors, et cetera, and real estate agents if you want to sell. And you're living in Reno and the Kansas City in Florida. It's quite a big difference. So,
it's all about networking. You get yourself out there and you get to be able to meet and greet, and is eventually you get to test. You got to pull the trigger at some point. And a
yeah,
lot of it's testing guests, building your team and creating that core four.
Okay, fair enough. And what's your latest deal that you're working on?
We just purchased a commercial asset, 100% vacant, for $1 million. And we're in the process of finalizing our lease to have a university move in on a 10-year lease, with consistent rental rate increases, which now puts this asset somewhere near 2.4 mil.
Wow, how many square feet?
So it's 13,000 square feet.
Okay, so you bought it for $80 a foot, something like that. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah, give or
Yeah.
take. Yeah.
Which state?
Kansas City.
That was a Kansas City one. Okay. Wow. Good. 13,000 feet is not a large amount, so they're not going to house a bunch of. It's probably administration or something.
Administration, office, like
Yeah.
paperwork stuff.
Well, wow, that's good for you. To take a chance on a vacant building is pretty gutsy.
Yeah, and it's all from learning from the residential, gaining the confidence,
Yeah.
experience, and rolling into larger deals. We like to say commercial is just simply adding extra zeros to it, bigger deals, bigger numbers.
Yeah.
Majority of the basics is similar to residential, with some fine tuning and uniqueness because it is commercial.
Well, also, you were experienced in Kansas City already, so
Correct.
you start to kind of know the area and know what works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Why don't you give out your information one more time in case people want to hire you to teach them?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Instagram, our handle is at WNN Properties, or you can check out our website to get your free PDF gift. Why not now in realestate.com.
Okay, very good. I like that. Why not now? Hopefully you'll get some people to say, you know what, look, this guy seems to, he's gone through his ups and downs, and we'll see if it works. All right, are you ready for our thoughts for the day? Here we go.
Sure.
So I asked this old man who I know, he's 95 years old, and I said, it's wild. I said, you still call your wife darling and honey and love. What's your secret? He said, well, I forgot her name 10 years ago, and I'm afraid to ask. Okay, I get that. And why don't mummies go to summer camp? Because they're afraid to relax and unwind. All right, tune in. Oh, there we go. We got some laughs from them. All right, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.